Good afternoon and welcome to Mundane Mystic Live at 5. If you've never watched these videos before, Mundane Mystic means taking a spiritual look or a truth look, metaphysical look at our physical lives, at our lives and our greater world that we live in. Why? Because we're here to learn. And hopefully, even if you get a little tidbit from this message, you can learn something and change your life. I've found in my life sometimes I've gotten an amazing bit of wisdom in an elevator or waiting in line at the grocery store. You never know where it's going to come from. Maybe here. If you like what you see and you want to see more, you can make sure you click like on this video. You can go to YouTube and subscribe. Alicia Leslie, Mundane Mystic. And this series is called Mundane Mystic Live at 5. So you can sign up for it. You can watch all the ones before and the ones that are yet to come. If you subscribe, you won't miss anything. Okay, well, let's get to today's message. It's called There's a Hole in the Bucket. Now, just set my little timer because I'm trying to keep my videos at about 15 minutes. And I think that's easy for me and easier for you. You know, you don't want to take in too much stuff you might not remember at all. Okay, so there is an old song. I think it dates back to the late 1800s or the early 1900s, and it started in Germany. And the song, and I will sing only one verse and then we'll talk about it because I'm not singing this whole thing. Okay. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. There's a hole. Well, then Liza has her say. Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Fix it! Well, so as happens in life, something happens, something's wrong, and we have to fix it. We're going to take a look at how Henry and Liza handle this. Well, he says, with what should I fix it? And it goes along with the lyrics. Like I say, I'm not singing it. And Liza says, with a straw. Fix it with straw. And Henry says, the straw's too long. And she says, cut it. And Henry says, what will I cut it with? And she says, an axe. He says, the axe is too dull. She says, then sharpen it. And he says, what should I sharpen it with? And she says, a stone. And he says, but the stone is too dry. And she says, then wet it. And then he says, with what should I wet it? And she says, wet it with water. And then he says, but how shall I get it? And she says, with a bucket. And he says, what else? There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. You know, we sometimes wonder why we don't have the change we want in our lives. And that very often is because we're too busy going around in circles to handle what is stopping our good from coming, what is causing problems in our lives and in the greater whole. It also points to Henry's not very able to think for himself. I feel terrible saying that. My dad's name was Henry. And they actually made him sing that song with one of their friends in many of the little shows my mom would have put on in the community where they lived. But in the story, it's like, well, I got a problem. Well, fix it. And we keep going around. Should we fix it here? Should we fix it there? Should we fix it there? Ultimately, the hole doesn't get fixed. The problem doesn't get solved. And we continue to have issues in our lives. So I would tell you another aspect to this story, but it's not a bucket this time. It's a barrel. Would work the same if it were a bucket. But it is a philosophical observation that if you had a bucket of water and the water had a hole in it, the water will never rise to its highest level because it will keep going out the hole. No matter how hard you try to make things work, they won't work if there's a hole. Well, what if we look at a budget, not a bucket? Most of us, if we were to look at our finances, would find there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. And very often that hole is that one place where we tend to kind of spend too much, waste money, or just don't pay attention. Do you realize how many things in life, how many times you've lost money because you weren't paying attention? Oh, my stars. I did a wedding here one time. I'm a Unity minister, and I did a wedding here at the actual campground where I work for my sister and her husband. I'm retired from pulpit ministry. This is my ministry that you're experiencing right now. Anyway, I got paid for the wedding, and I put the money in my back pocket because I was, what? Not paying attention. And I shoved it in my pocket, and when I got home that night, the pocket was empty. I must have either stuck my phone in my pocket and pulled it out and the money fell out or whatever. So that was a really tough lesson. It's really important to pay attention so you block up that hole in the bucket. Now, metaphysics, it's about where your mind goes, energy flows, and manifestation follows. In Unity, we teach life is consciousness. It is your personal awareness. When you are not paying attention, when you are not being an active participant, things happen. Now, I would like to, of course, because it's really important to us right now, to talk about how this is affecting our day-to-day lives through what is happening in our government. First of all, when there is a hole in the bucket. Now, a hole, if you had a hole in your tire, the air would come out. A hole in your bucket, the water comes out. A hole in your consciousness, not paying attention, and you start to lose your highest good. It keeps going down that hole, through the hole, and you can't replace it. When there's a hole in the bucket or barrel, the unit, the container, does not fulfill its purpose, which is to hold what? As much as possible. And it also weakens the vessel. Right now, I don't care what political party you belong to. I don't care, because it matters. It works out the same for everybody, okay? Let's say the government is our bucket, and it's got a hole, and a hole is affecting the HOLE is affecting the WHOLE. The hole in the side is affecting the hole. What is that hole? Well, it is a lack of integrity, and it is an inability to function through logical situations. And our government is a government of, by, and for the people. Remember what we were talking about before? A couple of videos ago. You can go on YouTube and look back a few videos. And it was called, George. Let George do it. And we said, well, we will vote for them. We'll vote for our choice. One of the greatest rights in the whole world is your ability to vote. And if you don't believe that, then I invite you to go live in a country where there is not the freedom of your vote. Okay. So we have the ability to vote. That means we pick the people. If there is a hole in that bucket, it's there because we put it there. If we don't try to patch up that hole in the bucket, and I'm sorry, but Liza had a lousy idea with straw. I can't imagine trying to put a pack straw into a hole and have it work. It'd just get through sooner or later. So when we repair things, we want to repair them well. Well, the holes in our government currently are affecting our integrity. We talked about it the other day, that the leadership is to serve the people. The people are not here to bow down to the leadership, but to look to them for the solutions for the whole. And when there's a hole in the hole, the good leaks out. It doesn't matter. You can have, let's say you had 100-gallon bucket, okay? Let's make it a barrel, be a mighty large bucket. So you have a 100-gallon barrel, and you've got 99 buckets in the gallons in there, but that keeps leaking out, and you can't make up for it. So no matter what high quality our other people are in the government, congressman, senate, house, president, everything, you can have the highest in the world, but if there's a hole in it, the good is running out. So there is a hole in the integrity of our leadership. And by the way, this goes for your budget, your house, your diet, your health, everything. The same thing applies. You may have a hole in your diet, except in those cases, instead of stuff leaking out, it leaks in. Like chocolate. Nothing wrong with chocolate. Excess of chocolate. But let's go back to the integrity. It doesn't matter what we've got. As long as that one hole is in the bucket, it leaks out. How does that hole get there? How did that hole get there? Sometimes it's because of, I hate to say this, folks, you want to point your finger? You go right ahead. But remember, when you point that finger, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. When you voted, did you just vote down the party line? Or did you know who you were voting for? It is so unfortunate, and this is a big flaw in our government, where we so expected people to have integrity that we accidentally left holes, which at this point in time we could say loopholes, that people slip through and get into office when they shouldn't be in office. Let's say you were having brain surgery and you want, hey, anyone messes around with my brain, I want to make sure they know what they're doing. So you're going to have brain surgery, you want to get a good brain surgeon. So you look, maybe you look them up on internet and everything and see where they graduated from or whatever. Well, that's good. They could have a great diploma. But if that diploma was achieved through irregular means, through cheating, through deceit, and he's not really that good a brain surgeon, got to do a little bit more investigating before you just trust. You want to look for and check references. And so we have, I hate to say this, but I'm going back to George Santos. Nothing on his resume was true. Nothing. And not even his name. Nobody. So he gets in, and the hole in our bucket of the makeup of our government, one of many, but this is a huge one because we can't get rid of him. He got in. Why can't we get rid of him? Some people refuse to get rid of him because they want his vote. But what they don't realize is if you pick someone without integrity, what you're going to get is no integrity. So he goes on TV the other day and he goes, I'm at peace with it. Yes, I made some lies, but that's behind me now, and I think I need to be forgiven, and let's just move on. Nah. Because his saying it doesn't make it so. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. There's been no making amends. There's been no true admission. There's not even a glimmer of regret. So one of the holes we have to make up is in the part of the government. We have to make requirements for people to actually be qualified. Just like you want that brain surgeon qualified to dig into your brain, you want the people that are making the laws that you will have to abide by, that you will have to live with. And it takes all of us, but you have to be informed, be educated, okay? Look at that same thing, whether it's your budget, your diet, look for the hole. Because until you plug up that hole, that error thought, remember, mind, idea, expression, whatever you're thinking about most, you got a hole in there and you don't attend to it, you're in trouble because nobody's going to patch that up for you. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's message, and I got a great one already cooking up for next time, and I hope you will join me then. And until then, have a great day, and take care of your sweet self. Bye.